Well, Joey, in the last video we made a shopping cart token. First of all, maybe we'll just take another look at that. So this is the design we made. One thing that we could have done that we didn't was just add a little hole to add it to a keyring. Let's maybe put it in the middle, just assume it's permanently on a keychain. So the hole command is up here. And if I click on that, you can go down. And actually, one thing we should look at here is the prompt bar. So that's very, very helpful. So that's saying to click on a planar face or reference plane. And also we have the whole command here where it's saying create from coincidence plane is the option. There are other options, but coincident plane is good for this. So I'm just going to click on the top face of the part. And now we're looking at options, whole circle options. And we also have style, which I can expand. So I'm going to click on the whole circle options box. And now things have got interesting. So this can be a bit to look at. Don't really need to worry too much about it. For starters, we have the hole type, a simple, threaded, counterbore, all these different fancy holes. We're just doing a simple hole. And we have isometric holes. That, again, doesn't really matter too much for what we're doing. So we can search from different drill sizes here. But since this would be for a 3D printed part, we can also override it here with the exact hole diameter. So I'm just going to select 3mm. And the hole extents. We can go through all, since we wanted to go right through the part. And I suppose we could put a little chamfer on both sides just to make it a little bit easier. 45 degrees it's selected, which is nice. And we could say 0.5mm. And I just press the tab and now 0.5 again. Click out, and if I just hit enter, it's just looking for a position for a hole. And as I move it around, you can see this red dotted line tracking. This is again looking for relationships to infer. You can see that the x-axis is highlighted. So that's okay. We could put it coincident with the x-axis. And now to exit the command, it's waiting for me to place more holes. I could add them here and here, but we won't. So now we can zoom out. We can just exit this sketch by clicking this little tick mark. Now it's looking for a name for the feature. I'm not too worried about the name. And we can see the hole appearing here. So I'm going to click finish. And it's entered into the hole command again. We don't need another hole, so I'm going to click cancel. I just realised I forgot to fully constrain the sketch for the hole. I'm going to right click on hole and click edit definition. And we can go back to hole now. So here it is. So we kind of partially constrained it, but we didn't fully. What I'm going to do is add a dimension, a smart dimension from the hole vertically. I'm going to make it 5mm. And now we see the hole has changed from blue to black. That means it's fully constrained. The diameter has been defined by the settings chosen in the hole definition dialog box. Its horizontal position has been defined by it being along the x-axis of the base coordinate system, and its vertical position has been defined by the 5mm dimension. So now we can click the Close Sketch button, leave the name unchanged, click Finish, and now we have a fully constrained hole. We can save the edits to the part before we create our new part. So I can click Save, Before we move on, take note of the part name on the title bar. You can see it ends with P001.par. I promised that we would reuse this part to create a US shopping cart token. So let's do that. The first thing I'm going to do is use the Saveas command. So we go up here and we can go Save As. And we have to give the part a file name, a document number, revision A is good, and we just change the title to US. Okay, I'll click Save. If we look up here, it's always good to just double check because this can sometimes get confusing. The part name now is P002. Okay, so we're not editing the original part anymore, we're editing the new part. So for US trolley tokens, they're not as popular as they're in Europe. So it's really only a US quarter coin that is used. So we don't need one coin either end. So let's just take a look at this. So it's common when you've created these parts to maybe forget how you created them. You know the end result, but you don't necessarily remember exactly how you got there. Something you can do is you can hover your mouse over the different features on Pathfinder to highlight the different features. So as we hover over hole 1, you can see the hole we just created highlighted on the part. The orange line's highlighting it. And if I go over chamfer 2, that's highlighting. There's an orange outline now around the chamfer on the underside of the part. Chamfer 1 has orange lines over the chamfer on the top of the part. Round 1 features that get highlighted. Cutout 1 is the feature where we cut out the value of the coins. And then sketch 1 is the sketch used to define the value of the coins. So that's all of those. And then protrusion 1, that seems to be where most of the actual functionality of the part was created. And if you remember, we created profile 1 to define that. So I'm going to go to profile 1 here, and I left click. We can go edit definition, edit profile, dynamic edit, rename feature. We don't really need to edit the whole definition. I'm just going to go edit profile. So that's back to where we were at the beginning. And we can edit the dimensions of this part and see how we go from there. For starters, we only need one coin. We only need one circle, so I can actually delete that. And we have another circle here. I can click on the dimension here. We want to change that. If you remember, we used an ISO metric template for this part. The dimensions of a US quarter are given in inches. We could convert from inches to millimeters, but you know, we're not savages. Solid Edge can help us out with this. So the diameter of a quarter is 0.955. If I press enter, that will be millimeters because we've set that up. That's the default units of this part. But if I type IN, I have my caps lock key on, but small or big is okay. And I just press enter, and we see the dimension has changed to 24.26 millimeters. 0.955 inches is 24.257 millimeters. And if I change the round off here to 3 decimal places, there we go, 24.257 millimeters. So we're kind of happy now that that's okay. I can click on the close sketch button to exit the sketch and click finish to exit the extrude command. That's looking a little bit better. It's not a €2 anymore. We could change that. Let me see what we got here. Here's the sketch. So we can do the same again. Edit profile. And the €1 is no longer needed. I'll delete that. The €2, we can reposition. See, there's the anchor. Edit definition, text step. There we go. We're back into the text. And Let me take a look here. We have €2 and we want to replace it with 25 cent. To get the cent symbol, I'm going to try Alt 0162. There we go. That's voodoo. That's cool. So here's the 25 cent and I'm going to click OK. Now we have our 25 cent. I'm happy with that. So I can click the close sketch button. One thing I forgot to do was change the thickness to an actual 25 cent. So that's part of the protrusion feature. And this time, instead of edit profile, I'm going to click edit definition. And so we want to change the thickness. We could click on this dimension and edit the value, or we can go to extent here. And that's saying distance 82. That's just manually update. That's updating as we stretch the part up and down. So I'm going to type 0.069, and then we don't want millimeters, we want inches. So I'm going to IN. That's making the total thickness of the part 0.069 inches. It puts half of that thickness either side of the sketch plane. So I'm going to hit enter. And now it's looking for a name. That name is fine. I click finish and we're out. Okay, so we got our part. We got our cutout. Our round feature has carried over okay. If I click edit for that, yeah, it looks fine. The corners we deleted hasn't caused any issues, so that's okay. And now the chamfer. The problem with the chamfer, I suspect, is when I was selecting an edge for the chamfer, I selected an edge on the circle that was here that I deleted. So now we need to let Solid Edge know where it wants to apply the chamfer. So it's funny, you see actually the lower chamfer worked, partially worked anyways, and the upper chamfer didn't. So yeah, I suspect that's because I clicked the upper chamfer on this circle and it wasn't carried over. So let's click edit, and I'm going to go to select edge. All of the other, like 0.5 millimeters and chain, they both sound fine. So if I select this top edge, oh, actually, it's always nice actually to see now this chamfer is carrying around. It's not doing a complete loop. But I'm just thinking that maybe it'd be nice to radius these two corners here. Might just make the part a little bit less likely to catch on things and just make it a little bit nicer. So before we do that, let's make a little round here and here. If I go trying to make a round, I'll actually do it. Let's do it wrong first, and then we can do it again. So let's make a round. And round radius of 2 millimeters. Instead of 2, I'm going to say 8. And if I put it there, and if I put another one here, we kind of have a round, and I can click this tick. I can click preview and finish. And now it's gone into round again. I'll just cancel out of that. And we can see it looks not too bad, but we can see that the chamfer feature here has kind of gone out here and just kind of disappeared. So I'm not fully happy with this chamfer at the bottom here. I would have liked the chamfers to go all around the perimeter of the part. I think this would have happened if we created the round before we created the chamfers. So now I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. So I can go to a feature before where both chamfers are applied. I can click on round 1, click on this GoTo symbol. Now you can see all the features on the Pathfinder after round 1 have this anti-clockwise arrow symbol beside them. That indicates they're in a rolled back state. We've travelled back in time to where our part was simpler before all of these features were applied. And back at this point in time, I could apply my round before the chamfer was applied, and everything would be kind of nifty. So that's one option. So we could do that. I could go up here, click round, and just select the lines here we want to apply the round and finish the command. So that would have been perfect, and probably would have been a smarter way of doing it. But we are where we are. So I'm going to go back to where we just created round 2. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag that up above chamfer 2. And you see this little orange arrow previewing where it will land in the feature tree if I let go of it. So it's landing in above the chamfer and below the cutout, which is actually nice. So I'm just going to let go of my left mouse button. And now we have round 1 here, round 2 here. And since round 2 was applied before the chamfer in ordered mode, we can zoom in and we can see now our chamfer has gone all the way around the bottom of the part, which is exactly what we wanted. That's kind of tasty. And now chamfer 1 is still looking a little bit sad, so it still hasn't got an edge to pick up on. So what I'm going to do is click on Edit Definition and select Edge. Happy with the values here, so I'm just going to tell Solid Edge what edge it's missing. So I'm going to click here. It has selected that edge. I tick this little box, and name is okay. I click Finish, and now things are looking better. The hole here doesn't really look right anymore. It was nice on the original part, but it doesn't look right on this part. So let's edit that sketch too. So I just left click on it, click Edit Profile. We zoomed in a crazy amount, but let's have a look here. So I'm going to delete this 5mm dimension. That kind of frees it up a little bit. So now if I click on it, if I click the circle, then click the center, it can go up and down, but we also created the constraint that it is collinear, it's in line with this x-axis. So what I'm going to do to get rid of that constraint, I'm just going to press the Alt key and drag it away from the x-axis. And things are looking a little bit better. We want to put this circle on the center of the part, so it'll be in line with the y-axis. Because we drew the part symmetrically about the axis, it makes it a little bit easier for us. So we just want to make a relation. And here's a horizontal vertical relation. Click on that. Click on, now we see the center mark, little glyph previewing that if we click now, it will select the center of our circle, our hole. So I click, left click. Now we want to select the line, what that is horizontal or vertical to. And now we have the y-axis kind of highlighted. So if I click that, we have a little preview that it's going to add that horizontal. So I click, and now you can see our constraint shown here. That's our horizontal constraint. So we can move the whole left and right, but not up and down. Okay. And we can constrain it further with a smart dimension. Normally, when you put a dimension, it'll dimension between a center. So that'd be 3.74 millimeters. So we can click on that, and maybe 5 millimeters will give us plenty of material. I'm going to press the tick. Our hole has moved. Happy with all of the options, so I'm just going to click Finish. And there we go. Now we have our little shopping cart token. One last thing we could do is colour the part. There are a couple of ways to change the colour of a part in Solid Edge. The traditional way is to go to View and choose the part painter And the part painter uses styles that are internal to this part file. There's a newer version now available in Solid Edge called the style palette, which is preferable. So this is where styles are available in a library to be used across your system. So this is probably a better way to be doing it in most situations. Select, so what we want to select, any body by feature type, face or feature. So I'm going to choose body, and then current styles, keep or replace. I'm going to choose replace. And then we can choose our colour. So I can pick the colour and just drag it onto the body. Then for the 25 cent, we could do that a couple of different ways as well. So we can go back to the style palette. So I'm going to zoom in on the part. We can choose feature. And now, if we go here, so we can get gold, drag it, and you can see the whole 25C feature has been highlighted. So if I let go, while that glyph icon is there, it means there's QuickPick has been enabled. So that means Solid Edge, it's a little bit open to interpretation what I want to select. So now I can choose in QuickPick here between cutout 1 and protrusion 1. So I'm going to choose cutout 1. For the feature, it's the whole cutout feature. So as well as the base, it's the sides around the feature. If we just wanted the bottom faces of the feature rather than all sides affected by the feature, we could go, I'll just go undo again. We go to style palette, and this time actually we select face. We leave replace as the current styles. Go down to gold, and I drag it over to the part. And now you see the two highlighted, and we also have the little glyph of the mouse. So if I let go now, we're going to see the quick pick. So now we can choose more finely. So now I can select the face of the two, and now that's been coloured in without the outline. Go back to style palette. Also, I'm going to hit this little thumbtack here to stop auto hide, since we're going to be using it a few times, and I can drag gold across again. We have that little glyph for the mouse, so we're going to let go of the mouse button to open up QuickPick. Now we have that face, that face. Oh, there's the 5 face we want, so I'm going to select that. That's been done. We can try again here. It's getting increasingly more difficult as the parts get smaller. So now Solid Edge hasn't got the option we want in QuickPick. It actually makes life a lot easier to zoom in closer to the part and then drag across. And now we see the proper face has been highlighted. And there is our part coloured in. So that's our part there. That's only really an aesthetic thing at the moment. That's not really useful for 3D printing. But yeah, there's our part. That was a nice handy little video. I hope that did the job for you. Hopefully you followed along, and now you have 2 trolley tokens. In our next video, we'll model a Lego type block. Thank you.